Pierre Poilievre, a very non-conservative politician, has removed a much more conservative MP in a very conservative riding in order to play off of the fears of Albertans and win his by-election in Battle River, Crowfoot. Canada is that much closer to implementing its gun buyback program, stealing legally owned firearms out of the hands of responsible Canadians, squashing their rights and freedoms in the march toward tyranny. A man who was protecting himself and his home from a violent intruder is being charged with assaulting the intruder, which makes total sense if you live in an alternate reality. What on earth is going to fix Canada? What hope do we have for the future of the true North, strong and free? It's not Poilievre or the Conservatives, and it's not your guns. It's Jesus. It's the blessed son or bust. It's Christ or chaos. It's August 21st. I'm Andrew DeBartolo. That's Matt Hallick. This is Liberty Dispatch.
Friends, welcome back to Liberty Dispatch, where we bring you Canadian conservative news and analysis from an unapologetically Christian perspective. Make sure that if you like what we do, that you do what you can do to get our content out to more people. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, interact with the content wherever you get it from. Leave a comment down below. That would be great. Let us know what you think of Clown World, aka Canada, and their ongoing drift into, hyper dystopian insanity. I think that's probably a good way to describe our nation right now, Andrew. But it's good to be back. It's good to be covering the headlines, and it's good to be doing it from a distinctly Christian view. If you like what we do and you want more of it, ldcanada.substack.com. We have a growing audience over there. You can become a paid subscriber and get full access to all our content, of which we have a lot, and it's ever growing, and we've got some spicy interviews coming up that you're definitely going to want to be able to get, and especially in their entirety. So we thank you for all those who support the program. It really does help what we're doing. It helps Andrew and I dedicate the time that we dedicate to the podcast. And if we can get more support and more helpers, we can continue to grow and build and do more things. But we definitely have a good slate of content coming up here in the fall as we move into conference season. Andrew, we'll be meeting up with some of our friends from Canada, from the United States of America. So we should have some really good interview content and some really hard-hitting stuff on the most relevant topics in our day. So ldcanada.substack.com. Get over there, become a paid subscriber today, and we would really appreciate it. And I think we'll send you out one of these hats if you do it. So just we'll have to work on the logistics of that, but we'll make it happen. Okay, Andrew, good to see you, buddy. How was your week?
Good discussion with Russell Hunter from Abolitionist Rising. We're going to be airing that interview this Saturday. And then really good catching up with Mike Shooten from ARPA Canada and what's going on with them. We're going to be dropping that next week. So good.
How relevant did your interview become with Mike, considering it happened literally
not that long ago,
a few days before?
I told him we've never had the same guest on so quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
Turnaround because of what happened. So
yeah,
lots of stuff happening in the culture and lots of news to cover as well.
And Andrew, like, the amazing part is, talk about the clown world that we're inhabiting in Canada. ARPA continually gets a lot of pushback from municipalities on their programs that they do and the advertisements they run, and they couldn't have any more benign graphics and like text, like bald facts and a very benign statement. But if you're outside the progressive Overton window, that's enough to get you totally canceled in our crazy nation.
So good stuff coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to take it all in. And I want to remind you, even during the relaxed pace of summer, it's actually a great time to focus on your finances. Connect with our
Amen.
trusted partners at Rocklinc Investment Partners to safeguard your family's future and protect your hard-earned money from global economic challenges. With years of proven expertise, Rocklinc knows how to deliver results. You can contact them at 905-631-5462 or email them info@rocklinc.com. That's link with the C, info@rocklinc.com. The big story of the day, the week, of course, is that former and soon to be new, once again, leader of the federal Conservative Party, Pierre Devil in the blue dress Poilievre, has won his by-election in Battle River, Crowfoot, really to no one's surprise, in arguably
Well,
the
hold
most
on,
conservative
Andrew.
riding in the country.
Bonnie Critchley thought she was going to get 90% of the vote. So
I don't know who that is, which is why no one's
the,
surprised that Poilievre won.
she was like the butch like short hair. She
Oh,
kind of looked like a lesbian lady
yeah,
who
she's
was
not. She's not
running.
winning in Battle River, Crowfoot.
No, well, yeah, she was supposedly conservative, but every time I heard her talk, she was just spewing liberal lines. But anyways, she might have been surprised that that he won, but
Sure.
no one else was.
Yeah, so this is probably the most conservative riding in the country, or one of the most conservative ridings in the country, looking at previous elections. And the MP that Poilievre basically forced to step down won the last election with something like 83% of the vote. Just absolutely bananas. So before we give you some numbers and kind of draw some analysis from it, we wanted to play you some clips from Poilievre's victory speech because we wanted to highlight a lot of the things that he's saying sound good. There's a little bit of a change in some of the things he's talking about, specifically as it
Mm-hmm.
pertains to immigration. That's a little bit
I've
different.
noticed.
He's clearly playing to the Albertan crowd, and there's a few other things he said that you might not pick up on, but are actually profound and worth examining. So let's get
Mm-hmm.
into our first clip here.
Thank you very much to the great people of Battle River Crowfoot. If I stand before you here today, it is by the grace of God and the good generosity of so many people, the first of which I must start with is my incredible wife, Anna. Anna, yes, give her a round of applause. Where did she go?
Andrew, can I just say, I think the conservatives really have to. The level of the size of the front of the dais whenever he's speaking is way too big. Like he looks like he's just like a little, well, like he's doing a puppet show and his head's just like, someone's got to fix that. That's not a good optic. I'm just saying.
Anna, you have
Like,
been,
why is it so
you've
high
been an
on
incredible
him?
rock for our family. You've been the glue that has bound us all together.
Something I want to point out here in that first clip. So he starts off by saying, "If I stand here, it's because of the grace of God." Okay,
Yes.
and then he says, "I need to make sure I call out my wife in a good way
Mm-hmm.
because she's the glue that holds us together." And I just want to you have to see the complete pagan cognitive dissonance in those words. So on the one hand, it's the grace of God that allows him to stand up there, which is true, but not in the way that he believes. It's the common grace of God that he hasn't struck Poilievre dead where he is for supporting the murder of preborn babies that allows him to stand. So that's true, but that's not what Poilievre has in mind. And then he honors his wife, who's even more bloodthirsty in her support of child sacrifice than he is. So that's ironic, the juxtaposition. Here's the grace of God. Here's my wife that supports infanticide. Oh, and by the way, it's not God that holds everything together, according to Poilievre. It's his wife that holds everything together. And so in that first little moment there, you see a picture of the pagan, unregenerate mind that cannot discern spiritual things, that has been darkened and foolish in its thinking by feigning some sort of allegiance to God, but ultimately being open in what his idols are and his very anti God beliefs. And I'm sure that there are professing Christian conservatives that would have seen that first little bit and just kind of celebrate and breathe a sigh of relief, when what we're really supposed to see is someone who hates God, who despises many of those who are made in God's image, and who profanes God and engages in idolatry, all in a deceptive way to make Christians vote for him. So that's what was going on there. We want to be honest about that.
Yeah, and we have to understand that God hates hypocrisy, right? He hates the wearing of a mask. He hates pantomime. He hates those whose lips are close to him, who say the right things, but their hearts are far from him. And it's funny that, obviously he led with the grace of God, and we'll see he ends with God bless. But that is ultimately, at the end of the day, that's vain swearing on the name of God. That is breaking the third commandment. So I understand for political purposes, Pierre, why you might want to say that. But if you do, and I would encourage you, if you do believe you stand up there by the grace of God, and if you do truly want to invoke the name of the true and living God who rules over every aspect of life, I would encourage you to get right before him. And you couldn't start getting right before him in any better way than repenting and believing, and then also, as you've made mention, Andrew, stopping your bloodthirsty support of infanticide, as you've called it. Abortion is it's euphemistically called, but it's just the straight up direct intentional murder of preborn children. And that's something that no Christian invoking the name of the triune God, who is the giver and sustainer of all life, should be doing in the way that he does. So very valid point. Let's get into clip 2.
Without asking for anything in return, these incredible neighbors, friends, and people perhaps they didn't even know showed up to give a helping hand. This was bringing in the harvest in more than one way. For the Kurrick family has planted the seeds of friendship across this region for over 100 years. And that the seeds of those friendships came home in that beautiful harvest on that day. And that epitomizes the great people of Battle River Crowfoot, for whom I am grateful that I will have the chance to be their humble servant, to fight every day and in every way for the people in this region who feed, power, and protect all of Canada. These are the farmers, the tradespeople, the soldiers, the prison guards, the entrepreneurs, and so much more. Through drought and depression, through booms and busts, they've come through it all, and they've never stopped. But this incredible region and its amazing people have suffered terribly over the last 10 years. I've seen the main streets that have been hollowed out, and the trades workers who are underemployed because there is just not the work, as the federal government has attacked the oil and gas sector and favored foreign producers. This is the truth here in Battle River Crowfoot and in many communities across this country.
So my guess is that he's going to spend all his time in Ottawa, never come back to Battle River Crowfoot, and do what all the Laurentian elites do, which is forget about and dump all over Alberta in order to make sure that he and his buddies profit. So just I think
fair,
that's
though,
one
Andrew,
big pile of hypocrisy.
I did want to point out one thing, though, lest we be too unfairly critical. At least he has 2 constituency offices in what's a very large geographical area that the riding covers. Mark Carney still doesn't have one in Nepean, so I think that's well. He's not planning on going there.
Yeah. I don't know if Mark Carney is the standard to which we should hold conservative politicians, but point taken.
Certainly not. I kind of thought it was
I
funny.
would be surprised if Poilievre comes back to Battle River Crowfoot.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't know. Until next election, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's probably not going to run there again. Like in 4 years.
No,
I don't.
No, I think everybody knows that much. Yeah, everybody knows that much. But I could imagine We'll see. I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to run a national campaign and then also be boots on the ground in your own riding as the leader. I know those challenges exist, and but he definitely neglected, and I think the Conservatives made a very poor decision considering the gerrymandering that happened in Ottawa to not change the riding that he was in to a safer riding. They made some true blunders, but I know a lot of Conservatives are in Canada, in scare quotes, are quite fired up. It's their "we're back" moment. We're totally back, but Pierre's a good politician, but unfortunately he's not principled enough, I think, to be a truly conservative man who's going to do what needs to be done to change our nation. But let's get to the third clip.
Over the last 10 years, Liberal policies have sent crime, immigration, housing costs, inflation spiraling out of control. Now, they promised recently that things would be different.
Yep.
Was it Liberal politicians in Ontario with a Conservative premier that did all of that too? Was it Conservative? Was it Liberal politicians in other provinces like Ontario, for example, that spent a ton of money driving inflation, pushing us toward a recession during COVID? That was the Liberals, or was it the Liberal premiers that were arresting pastors for keeping their church? I'm just trying to remember. Oh wait, that was all the Conservatives, right? That was.
Andrew, they're the broad.
That was your team. That was your team.
They're the broad tent party that also includes commies, I guess.
Yeah. So it's obviously just. I'm clearly no fan of Justin Trudeau. That's all. That's clear. But every time a Conservative Party person stands up and says, the Liberals have ruined our country for the last 10 years. Right. When they offered unanimous consent for Bill C-4, or when they did all of the terrible things provincially under Conservative premiers, that wasn't them. That was your guys. That was your team, Pierre, that did that. So there's enough blame to go around for everyone.
That's an important point, because that was certainly something that we were saying, that all those who run in our circle was saying, especially for 3 concentrated years in Canada, there was no real opposition party. That all the parties, regardless of what jersey they were wearing, were working in lockstep with one another. They were on the same page. And I mean, there's really not that much that ideologically separates them, right? We were even told with Jason Kenney in Alberta that before his fall from glory, that this was the most principally, philosophically conservative man that's been in power across Canada in decades. And then he governed like a milquetoast liberal. And that's what we've come to expect from the Conservative Party. So, it's hard to get all that excited by this, as you can tell.
But under Mr. Carney and his 157 days in office, they've only gotten worse. There have been many announcements and meetings, many photo ops, and a lot of jazz, but not a lot of results. He sent everyone home for a summer vacation. He sent them home even though the deficit is spiraling out of control. Inflation is up, elbows are down, no resource projects are underway, and the housing crisis worsens as builders can't afford to build and buyers can't afford to buy. That's why us Conservatives have our work cut out for us. This fall, as Parliament returns, we will not only oppose out-of-control Liberal inflation, crime, immigration, cost of living, and housing prices, but we will propose real solutions for safe streets, secure borders, a stronger and sovereign country with bigger take-home pay for our people. We'll put Canada first, and we will do so in a way that will make our country self-reliant and make our people capable of earning paychecks that buy affordable food and homes in safe neighborhoods.
Andrew, that rhetoric? So that rhetoric that he's using, does it not?
That's very Trumpian. That's Trumpian. It's totally. It feels very much like.
Okay, that's interesting because
like,
I was actually going to say it feels to me like he's actually existing in the longhouse as far as like, right when he's invoking a sovereign like that's his way at like slapping back against the idea that, you know, Trump is going to annex Canada.
No, that's what I mean. But Trumpian in the fact that it's Canada first, strong borders, self-reliant.
Okay, yeah.
In that regard, it sounds very much like I remember the first time I watched that clip, that particular part. I'm like, this sounds similar to what you would expect at a Donald Trump rally. Mm-hmm. In terms of how he's speaking about Canada. I noticed it felt like it was similar.
Yeah,
there. Even though
Canada
you're right,
first.
I agree that it's ironic that he is, maybe irony isn't the right word, but it seems as if he is invoking some Trumpian rhetoric as a way to say this is how we're going to push back against Orange Man Bad. Because Poilievre was not talking this way. Poilievre has never had a problem with massive immigration. He's never so this, it seems like he understands. You've said this before, Matt, plenty of times, that there seems to be a shift in the broader conservative movement in terms of what the base wants. And Poilievre's a very good politician. He's going to signal to his base, I'm going to do the things you want me to do. I'm going to be the kind of guy you want me to be. Because, and I think this is where Poilievre, I think, is completely unprincipled, and he's a politician. He was not speaking this way the last election. He wasn't speaking this way at all. I think he realizes he was too middle of the road. He was too I think he was trying to win. Last election, he was trying his best to win and maintain all those liberals that said that they were going to abandon the Liberal Party. And he thought his base was secure. Let me appeal to some of these liberals. Let me win them over. And now what he's realizing is, no, I think the play is I need to really come hard on my conservative bona fide, and that's what he's doing right now.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I think needs to be understood is you're right. He's not principled. Like, this is him reading the tea leaves, trying to move and adjust. And I mean, there's you know, being pragmatic and responding to data in some sense is not always the worst thing to do as a politician, and being agile in that way. The problem, though, is he's not in and of himself the same level of disruptor as Donald Trump. This comes as manufactured, as far as I'm concerned.
For sure.
He has to workshop all this stuff and read the tea leaves before he comes out with it. And even in the response that he gives, it seems like Pierre, in the back of his head, he has, because he's a swamp creature, because he's existed in Ottawa for so long, he still has all the voices of the mainstream media in Canada, and he's not able to, in the same way that Donald Trump came in and disrupted everything, because he's like, I'm not playing by any of those rules. Like, I'm going to dictate what we're going to talk about. I'm going to change the narrative. He's still he's playing off, right? He's trying to be on the conservative end of respectable dialogue in Canada, rather than changing what respectable dialogue looks like in Canada, because he's leading the move and the shift to bring Canada back to sanity. And Pierre Poilievre is not the leader that that Canada really needs, a conservative leader. So I think a lot of people are like, jazzed up. Okay, maybe he's learning, maybe he's understanding that the Overton windows won. But to me, that's, if you really want a leader, you want someone who feels this in their bones. You want somebody who's willing to say the unpopular thing because it's their true conviction, and they're willing to be unpopular to do what is right. That's the type of leader in this moment that Canada needs. And unfortunately, I think the more that I see Pierre Poilievre, the less that I think he is that type of leader. And that's the hard reality.
We propose a Canadian Sovereignty Act to take back control of our economic destiny. This act would legalize pipeline construction, rapid mine approvals, LNG plants, nuclear plants. It would get...
Oh, I was going to say something, Andrew, before we get too far afield. Do you think that, because I mean, the summer's not been good for the Liberals. Like, they're having all sorts of issues. We're seeing strikes with, Canada Post, Air Canada. Things aren't going well with Carney, and the Conservatives are starting to rise in approval. Carney's starting to come back down to earth. Do you think they missed an opportunity? Like, why did they sit? Like, they should have not gone on summer break, because it's like, they haven't been sitting for so much time, and they totally missed an opportunity to be like, well, Pierre Poilievre's out of Parliament, to be like, we're here, we're fighting for you.
Well, it might be as simple as other things behind the scenes. So as we're going to see,
they probably just wanted to go on summer vacation and everything.
Well, no, but it might be the work. It might be the quiet work they've been doing in finalizing this gun buyback program. It might be the quiet work that they've been doing in finding ways to amend the Charities Act to remove the promulgation of religion as being a charitable purpose.
And Carney likes to work in the shadows. Like, that's where he prefers to be.
It might be the quiet work that they're doing in figuring out how they're going to actually resurrect and pass the Online Harms Act. It might be the quiet work that he's doing in making deals with China and with Europe. So obviously, it's not that nothing's going on. I think that a very big something is going on, but the stuff that's going on is working on legislation, working on policy secretly, making deals and alliances secretly, looking at how they're going to resurrect and repurpose legislation that was DOA after Parliament was prorogued, looking at charitable status stuff. Obviously, there is a big push, and we covered this a couple weeks ago. There's a big movement now to really, and I mean, the CNN interview with Doug Wilson also highlights this, that there's a concerted effort now to label anyone, to the right of Stephen Harper as being an alt-right Christian nationalist, and that these people need to be defunded and dismantled. So all of that, I think all that kind of package is being worked behind the scenes. I think that's what the Liberal Party is doing. I think that I don't think they perceive Pierre as being any kind of threat. Ultimately, Pierre's just doing his part. But the gain in popularity of the Conservative Party and this election for Poilievre, I don't think that poses a threat to the Liberal Party. I think that they have everything they need, and they're working what they need to do in secret to things that will be very problematic for Canada. Again, the online harms of pandemic treaty stuff, right? That's something else that happened not that long ago. Canada signed on with the global pandemic treaty. So all these things have not been getting a lot of fanfare. And we have what are the Liberals doing? They're actually doing a lot to set the pieces up to continue to push Canada into a leftist, globalist, dystopian nightmare. But they're being very quiet about it. And the legacy media, obviously, is not broadcasting what they're doing in the shadows. I think that's what's going on. I think that's their play right now.
Yeah, so that's any leg up that they, maybe would have optically got that, given Mark Carney's preferences for the shadows and what they have been able to do over the last year, where I think we're going to get to the point by the time they come back in the fall that they would have an entire calendar year like sat in Parliament for like maybe 3 weeks,
but
right?
but
Like,
but still have done a lot,
yeah,
but just not in Parliament,
yeah, exactly.
which is precisely what happened when Parliament was prorogued.
Mhm.
Lots was going on, like just the Justin Trudeau Liberals signing that $4 billion high speed rail deal where they built
Yeah.
into the contract the impossibility of
Yeah.
future governments undoing
Doesn't
it.
stop
So lots of
cronyism.
stuff happening. Lots of stuff happening behind the scenes.
It stops the
Here's
democratic process and the
here's
transparency
how I
of it all.
know the Liberal Party doesn't care one bit about Poilievre, the rise of the Conservatives, or bad press. The defense minister was completely embarrassed by Andrew Lawton with no knowledge of the possession and acquisition license, the restricted possession and acquisition license, what's included in taking your PAL course, like no idea about any of that. Totally undressed by Andrew Lawton. Also, it was proven that he was in support of the Tamil Tigers. Everyone's calling for his resignation. What did the Liberal Party do? Nothing. Now he's coming out saying, oh, yeah, our gun buyback is just about a year away. The Liberal Party cares nothing about the bad press. The media will go to bat for them. They don't care about what happens over here. They're doing what they're doing. And even when their people are just clearly the worst people in the world, they don't care. They're going to do what they're going to do in the shadows. That's why this is all. Randy Hiller and I talked about this. Hiller and I talked about this. It's all
K-Fab.
WWF smoke and mirrors. This is all a distraction from what's actually going on.
Rid of the industrial carbon tax, the EV mandate. It would ensure that Alberta could continue increasing its output of oil and gas. It would pave the way to get pipelines built right across this country, and it would eliminate capital gains tax when you reinvest your profits here in Canada to bring back hundreds of billions of dollars investment. This is an idea.
Pause
that.
So first time I heard this, I'm like, and get rid of the capital gains tax. I'm like, all right, Pierre, there it is.
Yeah.
He's still, a real conservative would say, the money that you have earned from hard work does not belong in the coffers of the federal government.
And the risk that you take in investing it.
We're not going to put our hands on it. But Poilievre is saying, you know what? We'll only put our hands on it if you don't reinvest, which actually for us means more tax income for us, right? You reinvest, you hire more employees. That's more CPP and EI. You spend more money, you buy more stuff. That's more taxing. So what he's basically saying is, we'll either take the capital gains tax, or we'll let you reinvest it, which will end up being more money for us anyway. So either way, we get your money, is what he's basically saying.
Yeah. Again, not principled.
Because our purpose is Canada. It's a plan that will mean that we dig mines, lay pipe, open ports, unleash the might of our worker and the genius of our entrepreneur in a bigger, more powerful free enterprise economy that put Canadians back in charge of their lives. These steps will save you money, restore safety in your streets, secure your borders, and strengthen your nation's sovereignty.
There you go. Big plans, Andrew. Big plans.
Lots of sound stuff. I'm curious where those plans were about the local worker when Poilievre was saying we need to speed up the visas and green cards for international nurses to come and deal with the staffing shortages rather than reinstate the nurses who were fired because they wouldn't took a jab. So I was curious when all that talk about strengthening the workers and building up our own local workers, that would have been really good when nurses were fired for not taking an experimental gene therapy injection. And rather than fight for them, Poilievre was saying, let's bring in nurses from around the world and let's speed up their green card process. So he's saying what he needs to say. He understands that where he is a very conservative riding in a, more conservative than other provinces kind of province. But there is one thing I missed about Pierre. how well he delivers the lines that his WWF scriptwriter gives to him. I did kind of miss that show a little bit. It's entertaining. It is entertaining.
He's a good politician. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So I will never give up. To the great...
Which this part was nice. He touched on a lot of people who had overcome adversity. I know you didn't cut it for the clips because it's a long segment, but again, credit where credit's due. That's the line. He's not giving up because of his defeat, because of the people in the riding who have kept going. So, I mean,
a riding that he'll almost certainly never visit again. So
yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm just trying to give credit where credit's due, but
nope, not happening. Not happening. Nope.
That's why that's why we're perfectly balanced. You know, we're not totally just cynical.
I'm calling balls and strikes. I am not.
Because as my mother who's here today taught me,
Angel Hernandez.
When you get knocked down, you get up and you keep on going. If you believe in what you're doing, you march forward. And so I say to all of the people, not just in the great region of Battle River Crowfoot, but right across this country, to anyone who has been knocked down, but has got back up and kept on going, you haven't...
It's like, not just the people in the great region, the great riding of Battle River, Crowfoot.
Given up.
You know what he reminds me of that episode of The Simpsons where Spinal Tap is playing at Springfield, and they're like, "Oh, everybody, it's great to be here at," and then he looks at the back of his guitar, Springfield. I think that's he's that rock star that's touring around the world that has to look on the floor to see what city he's in, so he doesn't get it wrong.
This is the best show we've ever played in.
Yeah,
Springfield. Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, this is what he's doing right now. Anyways.
We won't give up. Together, we will work together. We will fight together. We will sacrifice together to restore the opportunity that our grandparents left for us so that we can leave it for our grandchildren, so that we can once again restore a country that is strong, self-reliant, and sovereign. That is the country we're in this for. That is why we stay united. That is why we go forward. May God keep our land glorious and free. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Indeed, may God keep our land glorious and free. But again, don't invoke his name in vain, because that's just going to
the Lord will not keep our land glorious and free when the only grandkids that Pierre cares about are the ones whose parents don't want to murder them. Right? So he cares about the land that our grandkids will inherit, but he doesn't care about the 100,000 grandbabies each year that are slaughtered inside of the womb who will never breathe their own oxygen. He doesn't care about those grandchildren because they're unwanted and because he's really a pagan ghoul. So he only cares about the grandkids that are wanted, not all of the grandkids. So as long as he continues to support the sacrifice of those grandkids, and as long as Canadians and, Lord help them, Christians continue to vote for men like this, God will not keep Canada glorious and free. God will continue to pour his wrath upon our nation. So a couple quick numbers. We want to give you guys some of the figures. Two quick things. First, from the post-millennial, while this election was happening in Battle River Crowfoot, with just under 20% of polls reporting an hour after voting ended, Poilievre was already ahead by roughly 5,500 votes, putting the race firmly in his hands. Everyone knew this is going to be a trouncing. Okay, the ballot itself drew unusual attention, featuring a record 214 candidates, which meant nothing. I don't know what they were thinking. It didn't accomplish anything. This from LifeSite News. Some more numbers here. According to August 18 results from Elections Canada, Poilievre has won the Alberta federal riding of Battle River Crowfoot by-election with 80.4%, or 40,548 votes, which will allow him to stay on as party leader and return to Parliament. The Battle River Crowfoot riding covers over 52,000 square kilometers of east central Alberta and is considered one of the safest conservative strongholds in Canada, close quote. So
Not a
mixed
surprise.
feelings. I think, yeah, mixed feelings. Obviously, people are happy, but I think people are happy for the wrong reasons. I think that the spiritual well-being of Canada is better without Pierre Poilievre at the helm and anywhere in the Conservative Party. I think that the Conservative Party losing him, suffering a defeat, being forced to actually run truly conservative candidates and rise from the ashes of their liberal death would have been good. But apparently,
But that's
Canada
not the way it
is
would
not
have gone,
actually
Andrew.
interested. Yeah,
Like
that's what I mean. They're
that,
not actually interested in that. Canada's just
right?
interested in
Like
band-aid liberal in blue solutions.
hypothetically, like if they were going to move on from Pierre Poilievre, I doubt it's going to be more conservative than Pierre Poilievre, right? They would
Right.
take it as an opportunity to be like, okay, well maybe we were too confrontational, too conservative with Pierre. We have to go maybe a little harder than Scheer,
Which is
and
wild considering the campaign he ran, which was such a squishy centrist kind of campaign,
but
and they still
that's the
lost.
party. Now,
Yeah.
granted, there are some people, like some of the newer people in Parliament, like the Andrew Laughtons, like the Nat Strausses, Giovanni. There's some guys there that I actually do think could be potentially a group of really like truly conservative, principally conservative men who are the new face of the Conservative Party. But I mean, we're literally talking about in most cases like basically newbies in the Conservative Party who definitely don't have, I think, the clout as of yet. So we can hope that it changes. But
We should have them on our show. They won't come on, but we should have them.
I mean, I could understand why they wouldn't want to touch us, but I mean, that is the way that is the way things go.
Who likes their hypocrisy and support of hypocrisy being called out? No one, apparently.
There you go.
There you go. So,
I mean, we've definitely marginalized the Conservative Party at this point.
Sure. Yeah. Well, marginalization is far too kind of an action to be taken with a Conservative Party. If all they are is marginalized, then they should be greatly thankful for it. So, tyrants hate lots of things. They hate an informed and educated population. They hate a physically and mentally strong population too. They hate a responsible and hardworking population. And the reason is simple. Tyrants want you to be stupid. They want you to be uninformed. They want you to be lazy. And they want you to be weak so that they can control you and care for you as the daddy god state. We saw this during COVID. Now, we want the opposite for you. We want to help you become informed. We want to help you become physically strong, and we want to help you become responsible for the health and well-being of you and your family. So that's why we want you to know, and you need to know about Plexus. Plexus is a health and wellness company devoted to helping our bodies be as strong and healthy as they can be with products that are simply more superior than most anything you can find out there. All natural ingredients, the most potent probiotic, and vitamins with no filler or junk whatsoever make Plexus products one of the best ways to strengthen your family, exactly what tyrants despise. To learn more about how to become an ever-increasing responsible citizen, email healthandliberty@proton.me to find the products that are right for you. If we are going to fight and build for the days ahead, we need to be strong, body and soul. Email healthandliberty@proton.me today and get the Plexus products that are right for you.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, instead of working hard to solve real problems in Canada, like our wild immigration problem, or repair our dying and atrophying, totally busted up economy, and working toward, perhaps strong foreign affair policies or a stronger military. Well, the federal government has decided to ensure its firearm buyback that has been an absolute costly boondoggle comes into effect before 2026 comes to an end. And this report comes to us from the Toronto Star. Canada's gun buyback scheme, that's exactly what it is in the, quote, final stages of design and will be completed, quote, no later than the end of 2026. Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangari.
Just say Gary A. There's no. I'm looking at that name. I'm like, you could say Gary Ramalama Ding Dong, and you'd probably be closer to it. Just say Gary A. That's it. Gary A.
Okay, Gary A. There we go. Ananda Sangri. I think that's close. Anyways,
I don't think
that's
so.
what he said on Monday as he warned hesitant provinces and law enforcement agencies, that it's their obligation to implement these rules that they're passing. So that's great. In an interview with the Star, Gary A., as we affectionately call him, confirmed an October 2025 amnesty deadline will have to be pushed back, but reiterated the Carney government plans to move forward with the plan to buy back thousands of, quote, assault style. I mean, that's such a... I'm not a big gun guy, but I know that's a stupid terminology. Weapons it has banned since 2020. Quote, we're committed to this during the campaign. It's something that Canadians expect us to do, and we're very much looking forward to launching it in the near future, Gary A. said. We want to make sure it's simple for Canadians. It's not going to be simple. It's going to be horrible and expensive, so that they're not confused with the 3 orders in council, and making sure that it's streamlined, it's easily accessible, and that there's fair compensation. There won't be. There's no compensation for taking your rights away. His comments come as opposition to the program remains fierce, especially in Alberta and Saskatchewan, where conservative governments have passed laws that would add roadblocks to Ottawa's efforts to collect the over 2,500 variants of banned guns from their owners. Now, that's a good use of the lesser magistrate in obfuscating and protecting their citizens' rights, as is their God-given duty. So, good job, Saskatchewan, Alberta. Let's hope that more provinces get on board with that.
So the article continues. Gary A. said Monday he's optimistic federal compensation will encourage gun owners to comply, but stressed participation is voluntary and enforcing the law is not. So we're not encouraged to comply, and it's not going to be voluntary forever. He said, any region or territory that doesn't allow us to implement the program, I think it's doing their people a disservice, he said. He's using opposite speak. They're actually doing their people a service. Ultimately, it's up to each of the law enforcement agencies to implement what is Canadian law, he added. Anything beyond that, I think, is premature for us to speculate on. The program is expected to cost $742.5 million, Public Safety Canada said in a statement. Mr. A said Ottawa can respond if the demand for the buyback is higher than anticipated, and it would not be a bad problem to have. It certainly would be bad for Canada, however. The Saskatchewan government and Canada's biggest gun lobby group have proposed a grandfathering system that would allow gun owners to keep their banned guns and prevent any new guns from being manufactured or purchased instead of the buyback. but the federal government is adamant on moving forward with its plan. In a statement, a spokesperson for Alberta's Minister of Justice said the province remains opposed to the program because it undermines legal gun owners, doesn't prevent criminal use of guns, and its high cost. Alberta's government is exploring various options with provincial, territorial, and federal counterparts and external stakeholders to protect law-abiding firearms owners from federal overreach, the statement said. And in an interesting twist, this is from Juno News. Really quickly, this just came up after I'd finished the script, so I want to include this. The head of Toronto's Police Association, Clayton Campbell, said the Liberals' gun buyback program is a waste of resources after Ottawa reaffirmed its commitment to confiscate legal firearms. Toronto law enforcement states that 90% of all guns seized in crimes can be traced to the U.S., with the origin of the remainder being too difficult to source. However, crimes in the GTA almost never involve legal firearms. This is what Campbell said. If you look at the city of Toronto, our mayor is from the NDP party. We have the federal Liberal Party. We have the Conservative Provincial Party, and we work with anybody. But we base our arguments on truth and evidence, and we know that the gun buyback program is going to have essentially zero impact on the crime in Toronto.
Well, that's not what it's aimed at. So.
Yeah. But so Campbell said there are lots of better ways we can invest taxpayer money. Clearly, there's a problem at the border when we're seeing 90% of the illegal firearms seized sourced to the U.S., close quote. So at the very least, the head of the Toronto Police Association is saying this buyback is a waste of money. It won't curb crime. It won't make us safer, because 90% of all the weapons that we seize that are used in crimes are not weapons purchased by legal firearms owners, but they're weapons that come here illegally. And the other 10% we can't even source. So it's probably higher than 90%. So, I mean, good on him for being honest about this. But like you said, Matt, it's not really about that. It's not really about crime and safety at all.
He's mistaken what the real issue is.
Yeah. Yeah, he's thinking like a police officer should think.
Yeah.
He's not thinking like a politician.
Yeah.
Canadian values are family values. This nation was forged largely by strong, hardworking, faith-filled families. When you buy from Resistance Coffee, you're not buying from a giant corporation. You're purchasing from a family-run small business with the Canadian values that built this nation. Our goal with Resistance Coffee is to build something bigger than us, to leave a legacy with the next generation and the next one after that. So join us as we fuel the families who do the work to build this nation.
Yeah, that is good stuff. Great coffee, even better people. With a better mission. So, Andrew, Isaiah from the scriptures, the holy inspired word of God, Isaiah 5:20 through 23 says this: Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who acquit the guilty for a bribe and deprive the innocent of his right. Well, Andrew, I guess that means woe to Canada.
Yes, it does.
This astonishing, bewildering, dumbfounding article comes to us from the Post-Millennial. This story is just totally nuts and a perfect example of the type of behavior that calls those oracles of woe down upon a people. So this is from the Post-Millennial. A confrontation inside a Lindsay apartment early Monday left one man in hospital with life-threatening injuries and another facing assault charges, according to police. The Kawartha Lakes Police Service said the incident took place at an apartment on Kent Street shortly after 3 a.m. Officers were called after a resident reported confronting an intruder inside his home, reports CTV News. Investigators allege the resident, a 44-year-old Lindsay man, attacked the 41-year-old intruder. That's a weird way to put it, leading to what police described as a, quote, altercation. The intruder was later airlifted to a Toronto hospital with serious injuries. Following an investigation, police charged, obviously, the invader. Right, Andrew? It must have been the invader that they... Because, he broke into the guy's house. Mm-hmm. That's who they charged.
In the middle of the night, too, in the middle of the night.
Yes. So that's who
clearly,
they charged, right? So following an investigation, police charged the resident, it says here. The man, you mean the man that was sleeping at 3 a.m. in his own, that's who they charged. Mm-hmm. And they charged him with aggravated assault and assault with a weapon. Wow. The owner of the house, whose name is Jeremy, according to journalist Ezra Levant, has launched a petition to strengthen the castle doctrine in law, which is amen. Good for you, Ezra. The manslaughter will also be crowd-funded. So that is just the latest example of the upside-down clown world that we live in.
It's just a little more from the article to wrap up. The man accused of breaking into the apartment is also facing charges. Well, gee willikers. Police say he was already wanted on unrelated matters at the time of his arrest. He's now been charged with break and enter, possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose, and 2 additional offenses. When released from hospital, he will be held in custody pending a bail hearing, a news release from Kawartha Lakes Police stated. When asked for further details, Acting Staff Sergeant Brendan Johnson told CBC News that police have released all of the information that we're going to release at this time with regards to this investigation. Close quote. So no room for defense. Can I have to say something. I think
I have nothing to say.
No, I have something to say. I think that the biggest mistake that Jeremy made, he made 2 mistakes. Okay? The first mistake that Jeremy made was that this intruder was able to tell his side of the story. That's the first mistake Jeremy made. Okay?
Well, let's fill in the gaps.
The second mistake that Jeremy made was that he didn't tie the man up, load him in his truck, drive him several hours down the road, and just drop him off on the side of some abandoned highway. Those are the 2 mistakes that Jeremy made.
Defending himself in the middle of the night, not one of those.
There's a third mistake he made. The third mistake he made was calling the police and saying, hey, I just protected my house. So he made 3 mistakes. Okay, he made 3 really big mistakes. Obviously, I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I mean it to say he didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? And he was unfortunately, Jeremy was naive to believe that if you defend your house from an intruder, even if that means you have to take up violence to do so, that's totally justifiable and you'll be okay. And he made a mistake in believing that. So it's just bananas. It's absolutely bananas.
I mean, it again highlights the total upside down clown world that we live in Canada. And this has been a problem for a long time. Is in Canada, the self-defense laws are totally mixed up. They're totally backwards. It leaves people vulnerable and unable to defend themselves, and it ends up leading to incidences where a man defending himself in the middle of the night can possibly be charged with a violent assault crime, and that self-defense isn't obvious. That's the issue in our nation. So I hope it is a catalyst. I hope Ezra and the team at Rebel, they, fight with Jeremy. They push back. Not only is he acquitted of any, possible charges, his bills paid for, all of that. But I do hope this maybe changes the conversation in our nation about just what's going on, because the absurdity of the current situation and the laws in our nation has been apparent for a long time, and it really needs to be fixed. So I do hope, as horrible as this situation is, this could potentially be a positive catalyst towards that end.
Think of the juxtaposition of these two stories, okay? and sorry, juxtaposition is the wrong word, but think about the connection, the correlation between these two stories. Over here, we know fully that the vast majority of gun crime in Canada is firearms purchased illegally, gang-related, and not those who own their firearms legally and are responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take all those guns away from those people.
At the very time, Andrew, where crime is up in Canada,
way up,
significantly,
yep,
and violent seizure of property and violent assaults on persons are way up in Canada across the board.
So not only will we take away firearms from legal, responsible gun owners and the ability to defend themselves accordingly,
mm-hmm.
we'll also punish them if they defend their house with something other than a firearm, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what weapon is in question here, but clearly this intruder also came in with a weapon. So I don't know if that means Jeremy, if there was a struggle and he got a hold of the weapon. See, that would be totally wild. If the weapon that was used against him, if a struggle ensued and he grabbed that weapon and then was able to attack the intruder, like that's a problem. Or even it's, Jeremy had a bat and he took out a bat. Oh, that's assault with the weapon. Like, it's just
mm-hmm.
My understanding of defense laws is you need to meet the aggression with equal force but not exceed it, right? So my understanding is
absurd to begin
so if he
with.
comes at you with the bat, you have to bring a bat. Like, is that how it works? Like, if he comes in with a crowbar, you have to say, you're like, hold on, Mr. Criminal, let me get my crowbar so it's a fair fight.
How do you even meet that requirement? Because a guy breaking into your house at 3 a.m., you don't know what his intention is. So
because this is Canada. Here's why. Because in Canada, this is what criminals do. They knock on the door. They're like, "Hey there, I'm coming in to rob your house, bud. But just so you know, there, I actually have a baseball bat. So I'm gonna give you 5 minutes, okay? Go get a baseball bat. That's what it's all about. You get your bat and you come meet me out here, and we'll go toe to toe, and it'll be totally good. And then depending on how the tussle goes, we'll go to Timmy's, grab a double. It'll be all great. But it'll be good. We'll be fine, right? That's how criminals attack in Canada. They give you 5 minutes to match their weapon, right? Oh, but what kind of a bat is it there, eh? Oh, it's a 27-inch drop 12 bat. Oh, my bat's a little heavier. That's not fair. I'm gonna go to jail if I come at you with my drop 10. It's sorry about that. I don't know what to do. Like, that's what they think is happening. I doubt, like, that's how you can meet the equal force, like that. But that's what I mean. That's the people who write the laws are envisioning that that's what it's like, or that's what it's supposed to be in order to make sure that I don't break the law by defending my home, right? Like, does that mean that if a super skinny weak guy comes into my house with just his bare hands, am I not allowed to hit him with my thunder guns, which are clearly bigger and stronger than him? Like, is that unequal force? Like, do I have to call my wife who weighs less than me to weighs the same as him. Like, it's just so bananas.
Oh,
What is
it's
equal
totally
force?
absurd. It's totally absurd. And that's where like apparently my wife's moving furniture upstairs. That's where just like in like sane laws would say, and this is the castle doctrine, that your home is essentially, every man's home is his castle, and he therefore is the one with jurisdiction and responsibility to provide for and protect that castle.
Mhm.
Therefore, anybody who is breaking in or trying to violently assault person or property in that castle, justified use of a force to defend one's person and property is called for. Like, that's the biblical view. It's called castle doctrine. And even Calvin talks about, like, even using that same logic. Like, John Calvin, all the way back in the 16th century, reasoned that way. This is a thoroughly biblical understanding of proper jurisdictional authority and responsibility. And why would any government not want that to be the case? Because regardless, even the most totalitarian government ever, the amount of law enforcement in regards to the amount of actual citizens is so much smaller that, like, why in a free society would you want to diminish
Because
people's
even
ability
though
to protect themselves and their
though
family?
even though the police services are wholly inadequate to do just that, the state still wants us to think that we can't do it on our own, but we must depend on them to do it.
Yes.
This is the tyrant play, right? So you cannot responsibly care for the health and well-being of your family. You can't assess whether or not you're sick. You can't mitigate against cold and flu season by getting sunlight and vitamin D. You are unable to take care of yourself. So you need to do what we say. You're unable to provide for your family and work hard, even though you're able-bodied, but we can do that for you. You're unable to educate your children. That's too hard for you. You need to have a fancy degree from a woke university that's slightly more valuable than toilet paper. Those are the people that need to teach your kids, not you. And you certainly can't defend yourself. That's our job, right? At every instant, the state says, it really is very patronizing, and it's actually very offensive.
Yeah,
That the state would say of me,
it's paternal.
You can't take care of your health. You can't take care of your family. You can't provide for your family. You can't educate your children. You can't defend yourself. We'll do all that for you. We'll just jack up your taxes so we can do a terrible job of it.
Well,
that's what the state is saying at every level.
It's funny because every area where they get the most involved is the worst area.
Is the worst.
The worst, the most costly, the least effective.
Yep.
Like, I mean, you couldn't make this stuff up if you tried. Is essentially the deal. But it does. But that never seems to challenge these bureaucrats' logic. Yeah, so Canada is a mixed up, upside down clown world, and our stories today are proof positive of that.
And the answer, I want to close off by saying the answer to all of this madness is not
Pierre Poilievre, right? That's what you're going to say.
Not Poilievre. Yeah, he's not the answer. Right? Poilievre is not the answer. The Conservatives are not the answer. This idea that, we're back, right? We're so back, right? White soy boy summer is back, right? Let's go. Brandon is back. Like, we can't. That's the Poilievre. That's our Canadian version of what's going on there. We're soy boy summer up here. So you can't. That's not the answer. That's not going to fix the problem. He's not our savior. The only hope for Canada is our commitment to advancing the kingdom of God and building his church through faithful church, family, social, cultural, political engagement so that we can bring the gospel to bear in the hopes that hearts can be made new, so that people turn to Christ, so that we can rebuild Canada, so that it indeed will be glorious and free. That's the answer. He's the answer. Christ is a solution, and it's the hard, inglorious work of culture building and kingdom building. That's the answer. Stick to that work. Don't put all your trust in Battle River, Crowfoot, and the fact that now we're going to have sparks flying in Parliament again.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our hope. There's no safety and no salvation to be found there. Certainly not for Canada.
Exactly. And if we want God's blessing, which we invoke every time we sing our national anthem, if we want to continue to be strong and free, let's stop doing things that make God angry and violate the covenant that our forefathers have made with him. Like, let's start there, because land grants and blessings are tied to covenant faithfulness. So let's be people who are faithful to the covenant we have with God, who don't take his name in vain, even if it's for political purposes, and it might get you thumbs up. Let's be serious people who are seriously committed to faithful obedience to our God, because it's for freedom that Christ has set you free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. Until next, everybody, and next time, everybody, that easy for me to say, God bless you all.
Liberty Dispatch has been brought to you by SDG Media. If you want to stay in touch with us on all things Liberty Dispatch, join our email list, or support the show, head over to ldcanada.substack.com.